Hey, welcome to the shop. So why are these custom end grain inlay boards so damn expensive? Well, let's get into it. Let's not dilly-dally. It's the labor. Yes, the wood is expensive, but it's the labor and it's the time spent creating this. So I'm going to tell you right from the get-go how you can make this board and how you can make subsequent boards, trying to give you a list of materials so that you don't have to guess, because I know that for some, this might be basic. How much wood do I need to make an end grain cutting board similar to this one? This one is 14 tall, 18 wide, 1.75, nominally 1.75 thick. So what do we need to do that? Well, you're going to go to your local hardwood store, your local hardwood retailer, and you're going to get, depending on how many colors you want in your board, this one is a 2-color board, obviously. It is cherry with walnut inlay. So you're going to go to your hardwood store dealer and you're going to get one each of 1 inch by 8 inch wide by 8 foot long boards. Minimal 8 inches wide. Needs to be 8 inches. It can't be a normal 1 by 6 or 1 by 8. I mean, because a 1 by 8 in normal world is not 8 inches wide and you need a full 8 inches. So if you have to go with a 1 by 10, then you have to go with a 1 by 10. Minimal of 3/4 of an inch thick. Where I buy my lumber, they do have 4/4 boards and they are 4/4 thick. A full 4/4, they actually sell 5/4 too. So you went to the store, you got the 2 boards. In this case, maple and cherry. You're going to spend roughly $100 on that, just the boards alone. You're going to bring those boards to your shop, and the first thing you're going to do is cut them in half to 4-foot lengths, just to make it easier to handle the wood, easier to manipulate. Now you have 4 pieces that are 8 inch by 4 foot long. You're going to take them to your drum sander or your planer and you're going to run them through once, maybe twice, to make sure there's no imperfections in the wood, to make sure that we want everything the same thickness, yes, but you don't want any dips or valleys. So when you do this and you run them through your planer, make sure that you don't have any snipe on the ends. A trick for that is to put a scrap piece of wood on the end of the board as you push it in and as you push it through of the same thickness. That way it limits the snipe on the end of your board. So now you've got your 4 pieces that are 4 foot long, 8 inches wide. They're ready to start slicing up. Again, to make it easier to handle the boards, cut those 4 in half, make them 2 foot each. So now you've got 8. Am I right with my math? You get the picture. You'll have 2 foot long pieces that are the correct thickness, that do not have imperfections. You're going to take those pieces to your table saw and you're now going to cut 2 inch wide, or I like to go 1 7/8 inch wide pieces. You're going to cut all of those boards into strips, 1 7/8 wide, of course 1 inch thick, 2 foot long. You've got all of your pieces cut. You're going to have a menagerie of pieces all over the place. Once you have those cut, you're going to glue them together. You're going to stack them. And you need a minimum of 14 inches. You need a minimum of 14 of those boards stacked like this. This is just an example. Obviously, it's not 14, but you're going to stack them like that. Trying to maintain the same thickness all the way across, making sure that they're flat and level, not level, flat, so that, you know, one isn't sticking up and all that good stuff. You're going to glue all that together. Then you're going to do the same thing with the other color wood. You're going to glue all of that together. Then you're going to wait a day for it to cure. After it's cured, then you're going to take it to your drum sander, or in this case, you can still use your planer if it's wide enough, but after you glue 14 or 15 of these together, your planer is probably not going to be wide enough to do it. So you're going to need a drum sander, or you're going to actually have to go to your CNC and mill a very, very small amount off of the top until these pieces that you've glued together are dead flat. Once you've done that, now that's going to take you on the mill, it's going to take you probably about an hour for each color, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. You're going to flatten them out. Then you're going to take them back to the table saw. Let me take these short guys out of here to make this easier to explain. you're going to take this back over to your table saw and you're going to start slicing this into pieces that are 1 7/8 inches wide. You're going to do that for all of your colors. Once you have those colors sliced up, you now have a bunch of pieces. Difficult to show you here because I don't think I have any. Hold on, let me check. Actually, I do have a few pieces that are cut thin. So you're going to take this piece that is all glued together and you're going to slice it off to actually get the end grain that you're looking for. Once you slice them off, now as you're taking them off the table saw, make sure to keep them in order. So the first one that you cut, set to the right. The next one, stacking them, so on and so forth. Turn the boards to the right. And then you're going to take them and you're going to alternate those boards. Actually, we're this way now. You're going to alternate those boards so that the grain does not match up. This one will get flipped this way, skip one, go to the next one and flip that one. Now you have your end grain ready to go. Now you've got to go through and you've got to glue all of that together on the edge. This one is 1/2 inch. You're going to slice your male pieces at 1/2 inch thick, your females at 1 7/8 inches. You'll glue those all together for your female, just gluing them together. Now the one thing that you're going to want to take particular attention to, some folks don't think it matters, I do, but I'm hoping you can see this in the camera. Obviously you can see each one of these stacked boards. When you glue these together, let me hold on 2 instead of 3. When you glue these together, you do not want these blocks lining up. So you're going to shift them so that you have a staggered joint. And I'm going to show you that as we go along in the video here. But you're going to want to push them so that they're staggered. Stagger them, glue them together. Then you're going to wait another 24 hours. Once you've waited those 24 hours for all of that to set up, now you're going to start the mill work. You're going to take your female or the actual board. It'll look like this. You're going to take it to the mill and then you're going to start the inlay process on the mill. I have a video for that. I'll put it at the end or here or somewhere. Basically, put it on the mill, surface the front side, flip it over, surface the back side. Let's start with the back side first. That way you don't have to flip it again. If you one side or the other, you're going to choose to put the inlay in. Put that side down, surface the back, flip it over, surface the front. Then you're going to run your female. Now each one of these processes is going to take you probably 45 minutes to an hour. Surface, flip it over, 45 minutes to an hour, surface. Then start running your V-carve inlay. Your V-carve for the female, you're going to do your rough bit first. That could take another hour. Then you're going to do your V bit. That could take another hour. So as you can see, we're starting to rack up some serious time here to do one of these. So then you're going to run for your juice groove. Then you're going to run what I call the cutoff, which rounds the corners on the outside of the board. Run it around. It cuts off, rounds the corners, makes it pretty. Once you've done that, you'll take the female off. And then you'll do the exact same thing with the male. Put the good side up, or down and surface the back, flip it over, surface the top. Each time you're only taking off 30 seconds or less. All you're trying to do is get it dead flat before you start making any carving. Once you have that, carve the male out. Again, you're going to have to go through the rough cut bit. Then you're going to go through your V-carve bit. Then you're going to take it off of the mill. And that's when the fun begins. Then you're going to take it to your female piece and you're going to clamp it down with 1,000 clamps. Glue, make sure you get glue all over the female. Every one of these areas that you see in this graphic that are black was coated with glue. Titebond 3, not sponsored. I use Titebond 3. All over that, mash it together. Make sure you're getting even clamping pressure. Squeeze it down. Once that's finished, you're going to wait another day. Then you're going to come back to it, and you're going to put it either on the mill or you're going to take it through your bandsaw and cut off as much of the male excess as you can. Now, cutting it off with the bandsaw is a little risky. If that bandsaw wavers, you just ruined all that work on your board. I prefer to use the mill, or I'll send it through the drum sander a bunch of times and take the male side off till I get it down to where I want. A lot of times I'll use a combination as well. take it over to the mill again, start surfacing it. And at this point, I take off, well, I know that my male, when I set it in, is going to have 1/4 of an inch proud. So I'll take off 0.2. Let that finish doing 0.2. Then I go to the drum sander and I clean it off the rest of the way with the drum sander so I can control it. It'll be nice and flat. This is what you'll end up with. You're not done yet. Now what you've got to do is begin the sanding process. You've sanded it with the drum sander. You're going to take it down to nice and flat so that the graphic shows well. Then you're going to take your orbital sander, start with 120 and work your way all the way down to, I go 240 or 300. Once I have that all sanded down, again, you're talking time on this. You're talking 20, 30 minutes per grit that you're using. Take it down to 320 and then water pop it. If you don't know what water popping is, you either spray it with a mist or you take a damp rag and rub it over the top of your board. And what that'll do is it'll take all those fibers that you've closed and it'll make them stand back up again. And then you start the process over again. I don't usually go with 120 when I'm doing after the water pop. I start right with 240 and I sand it until I get it glass smooth. You're not done yet. Once you have it that smooth, you could do this step at the 120 stage, but you want to make sure it's smooth and flat. Take your router and go around and round all of your corners on your board. Some people put handles in the end of their boards at this step. The reason you're going to sand it down to 120 before you take the router around is because you don't want any anomalies or any changes in the board. Otherwise, your round will not look good. So you go around, round it off, water pop, sand it down. You're not done yet. Then you're going to pour your oil on it and let it soak. I typically let mine soak for a day. I pour it on until it stops soaking in visually quickly. I let it soak for a day. Then I take it out of the bath and I let it dry out for another day. Once it dries for that day, then you're going to take the wax and you're going to buff in cutting board wax into it. And just like that, bing, bang, boom, you've got an inlay cutting board. So let's get to the video portion of this, the actual cutting and the moving around. And I think it'll give you a better idea why these inlay boards are so damn expensive, because it's the labor. It's the days and the hours put into this project. And God forbid, when you get done doing the male into the female glue up, you got a bunch of spots where it didn't work because you just get to start over again. In some cases, if you have a little bitty spot, what I do is take sawdust from walnut colored wood, you mix up a little with some glue and you put it in. Sometimes on antlers and things, a very, very sharp point, you might lose just a minute little bit. You can dab it in there and close it. But if something big happens, you get to start over. Let's get to the video portion. Nothing to it. Okay, I got all my strips cut. I'm ready to start gluing. If you have a 3D printer, do yourself a favor and print yourself out some of these guys. I designed my own. You can see them all over the internet. Nice little stands, keeps everything flat and true. We're going to slop some glue on these guys, clamp them down. I'll throw another clamp on the top to pull it in. And then we'll be ready to do the next process, which would be slicing it up, flipping them once more, and gluing them once more. So this process, this took me approximately, well, 30 to 40 minutes. So from the time I sent it through the planer to mill it smooth and flat, to the time I cut it in half from an 8-foot board, slicing it up into 2-inch pieces, putting them on here, orientating them, reversing them, flipping them so that your grain is not the same running across the board. I go light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. When you flip it up, it'll be good. To the point where I am now, where I can apply some of the glue and clamp it up. That's 30 to 40 minutes from the start till we get to here. 25 to 30 minutes worth of that sanding, and now we've got a flat block. That right there would make a pretty nice cutting board. You squared it off and put a juice groove in it, and maybe did a basic inlay on the top of it. Remember, face grain is a pain, so we're going to go end grain. So now what I've got to do is take it to the saw, square this edge up, and start flipping these guys up to create the end grain surface. That's next. I don't want to cut the last one with the miter. I don't think it's safe. So we're going to do the last one with the fence. All right, I was strategic about the way I laid these out. I didn't just throw them over. They are cut in the orientation that they were on the saw. Now what I'm going to do is flip them all up, same direction, just to keep things straight. Then what I'm going to do is take this, every other one, and turn it. And then we'll glue it together, and there is our board. Hello, Atlas. Now the other thing that I'm going to do, I didn't say it in the last little segment there, but you don't want your lines all lining up. So you're going to have to offset every other one so that this block, I'm using that line as a reference. We'll offset each one to the center to stagger those joints. Of course, it'll get cut and squared up on the old 150 over there when the time comes. But when I glue it, I will glue it like this to stagger those joints. And I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to figure it out and make sure that it's correct. I'll lock this little guy down so that we're half the distance. And then I'll go through and check them all when I glue it to make sure. Let's slop some glue on these things. Another thing to consider, this bottle was brand new when I started this. I'm going to use at least a half a bottle of this glue to make this board. Obviously, this is the black walnut we're going to use. All things people don't understand when they're asking why do these boards cost how much they do. Well, time, materials, and it does take a certain level of knowledge to do this. So aside from the cost of the lumber, which is ridiculous nowadays, there's other items that we have to pay for. Router bits, electricity, all good things. And glue. And would I rather skimp on the glue and have the thing fall apart, or put the right amount of glue on and have to charge appropriately? I think I will take the right amount of glue every time. After all this work, you do not want it coming apart. And you don't want an unhappy customer. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, if you listen closely, the sound you're hearing is a red line spindle running at 10,000 RPMs, warming up. That's pretty impressive. It's pretty quiet. Secondly, normally I would take my stock and I would bring it like this, and I would pull it down to the front, pull it to these pipes, and push it to them pipes, and then lean over the project to put in my wedges or etc. And then I think I had an epiphany, I guess that's what you call it. I'm like, these are parallel to the axis, just like these. Why don't I just put the spacer back there, push against that, then I can put my wedges in and not have to struggle to do it. I can just put them in and be done. Easy peasy. First thing we're going to do is surface this guy off, get rid of the glue, flip it over, surface it again, and then we're going to start hogging out our female for this cherry base cutting board. It's going to be awesome. By the way, that's dust collection and red line spindle running at 15,000 RPMs. Not looking too shabby. Roughing bit is done. I've got the 15-degree V in there. Let's do the finishing passes with the V bit. And there's your female. As I said many times, there'll be some cleanup. You gotta get all that fuzz out of there, knock it out, but all in all, looking pretty good. I'll take the rest of that off with a flush trim bit, and I'll sand the edges, round these edges by hand. On with the male. We just work our way around. It's all powder, really loose. There's not much to clean up as far as having to dig at stuff. You're just trying to loosen up that dust that's in these grooves. We just keep going around until we get her. All right, so we've got the male in here, and I want to show you another little trick that I do from time to time. This is a very thin board. I want to make sure that it stays flat. CA glue some scrap pieces on each side and then use those for the clamping fixture, for the clamping to push down on. Now when you put them on, make sure they're not hitting the surface of the wasteboard. In other words, I lift them up just a little bit so the bottom edge of the male board extends beyond the piece of scrap. That way when you push it down, the board hits the wasteboard first, the blank hits the wasteboard first, and then you know that it's flat and it ain't gonna move. Let's surface this guy and cut out the male. We'll just use old reliable here and we'll cut this thing off. What we want to do is remove all of this, leaving this. Like that. And there you are, everybody. A maple walnut end grain inlay board. I hope this clarifies a little bit why these things are so expensive. They're worth every penny. The one thing that I didn't talk about in the beginning of the video was the actual design process. Now, if you'd like to know about that and how much time that takes, put that in the comments below and I can make another video. There's certain delicate things you need to change in any graphic to make this work. Tiny little narrow vectors are a no-no. That's just a little bit of a hint. But there you have it. We've applied the oil. I'll let this soak until it doesn't take any more. I'll let it sit for a day. As I said in the beginning, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.